The Toronto Police Service Financial Crimes Unit would like to make the public aware of a scam that we call the black money scam. This scam seems to come up from time to time, and usually when we receive a report of it, the victimization is quite large, usually in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So today we have on the table what I would describe as a black money scam kit. And these are some of the items typically used in these types of scams to trick the victim. The way the scam works is that the suspects will make some type of contact with a victim, usually under some non-related pretext. The victim might be seeking a loan for a business venture, selling some type of item. There's various reasons, but the suspects will make contact with the victim under that pretext. And then when it comes to discussions about money, the suspects will bring up the fact that they have a large pool of money somewhere in a foreign country, and for various reasons they need to smuggle this money into Canada. And the way they do it is they disguise the money with a powder that turns the money black. And then what happens is they tell the victim that to take the disguise off the money, they need special chemicals that are very expensive. And in these scams, they'll come up with various reasons why money's needed, and they'll ask the victim to pay these monies, and they'll just keep coming up with reasons for the victim to pay money until eventually the victim realizes it's a fraud scam. So these are the items here. As you'll see, there's some paper that's cut the size of bills, and it's black with some powder on it. There's a bag of powder here. There's a mask and some gloves. There's what looks like a perfume bottle that's to represent the chemicals. And these are the items used. Secondly, we're also asking the public for their assistance. This past Tuesday, April 9th, we arrested an individual, and it's alleged that this individual was involved in a black money type scam. The individual is pictured on the screen to my right, and we're asking any members of the public who have had any dealings with this individual to come forward, contact Toronto Police Financial Crimes Unit, and we'd like to speak with them. We suspect that there may be other victims out there, and we also believe there's people, members of the public, that will have information to assist us with this investigation.
It seems to me, just in my limited knowledge, one would have to be kind of gullible to fall for this. How are people so easily led to believe that this would be legitimate?
It's difficult for me to get into the mind of the victim. What I have noticed in these types of scams is the victims are fooled before the kit comes out. So there's through negotiations, there's a buy-in from the victim. And just from my observation, it seems as though once the victims bought into the scam, it's very difficult for them to come out of that. They've bought into it, they believe in it, and then the props just sort of reinforce that. But usually the buy-in occurs prior to any of these props, and it's through their initial contact and negotiations. Many of the suspects in these scams are very good at building rapport with the victim. They're very clever, they're very devious, and they practice this. Often they'll select their victims. If they approach people and the people aren't receptive right away, they won't even waste their time working on those people.
So what's your advice then, so they don't get stuck in something like this?
My advice is to stay clear of anything that's even close to this. If anyone says that they've got to hide money or cover money, you should definitely stay away from it. Something illegal is going on.
So there were some clues along the line that somebody should have picked up on. Do you agree?
I would agree in this, yes, in this scam generally.
Can you tell us a little bit more about this particular case? I mean, I know he was defrauded of what, $450,000?
Approximately,
is that right?
yes.
So what was he needing? What sort of loan was the victim needing? And what money was he told he would need to pay to smuggle this money in and get it cleaned and all of that?
I don't want to get into the actual evidence of the case. Well, I'll speak in generalities. So in the cases that I've seen, there's a number of different reasons. Some of the payments are for chemicals. Some of the other payments will be for shipments, things that are stopped in customs, and there's various excuses. Often they'll bring documents for the victim to sign. Sometimes they'll claim there's accounting fees and counting fees, and there's a myriad of different excuses that the suspects will come up with in these scams. But like I said, once the victim's bought in, then the victim's, it's believable to the victim from that point on.
And this man was allegedly operating out of Toronto?
Yes, that's correct.
And the victim was here as well?
The victim's Toronto resident.
So this man was allegedly telling the victim that I have connections in another country and I can bring this money in for you?
There's more, in this investigation, there's more than one suspect. So we've apprehended this individual, and we believe there's other suspects. So there's been different communications with the victim that we're still investigating.
In this case, what was the victim hoping to gain? He was hoping to sell property, was that it?
The victim was hoping to sell property to get the money for that sale through this method and to make a profit as well.
Without being specific, can you describe the property, roughly what it was?
Oh, it's a commercial property.
Like a storefront type thing?
Yes.
For what part of town roughly?
Pardon?
What part of town are we talking about?
I believe it was the north end of Toronto. Yeah.
How would the suspects generally find the victims?
Well, in this case, that the property was advertised for sale. So, and we're finding that in a lot of the fraud scams now, the initial approach, instead of directly approaching for some type of scheme, the initial approach will be about something else. So, for example, someone's selling something over the internet, or someone has an ad where they're placing an item for sale, or someone's looking for a business partner or a loan. The suspects will use those pretexts to approach the victim, and then they do that to establish rapport. And once they establish rapport with the victim, then they'll bring in what their scheme is.
But how do they, sorry, I'm still confused as to how they find the victim. So this victim was needing money to buy a commercial property.
This victim was a seller.
Oh, was the seller? Yeah. Okay, so why did they need the money?
To allegedly they were going to purchase a property.
Oh, okay, they were allegedly going to purchase, this person was going to purchase the property.
Well, we're still investigating exactly what this individual's role was, so I'm not prepared to say that at this time.
So
But
why
that
would
was.
the victim be willing to go through all these, hoops to get the money? Were they offering a lot more money than somebody else?
They were offering a profit in addition.
Okay.
The victim, I don't know, it's hard to call him a victim. I mean, he was willing to engage in, participate in a scheme which was smuggling money and possibly laundering money. I mean, was this guy sort of on the peripheries of criminality to begin with?
Not that we're aware of. I mean, the victim's out approximately $450,000. As to what the victim's mindset was, I can't speak for the victim, but the victim was obviously duped, and the victim is out about $450,000.
I mean, if this was a legitimate transaction, the victim probably could have potentially been charged himself for, this type of transaction, engaging in, the laundering and smuggling in of money. I mean, he knew this transaction wasn't on the up and up to begin with.
Well, there's nothing to suggest that the victim believed the funds were illicit funds.
Except for the whole smuggling into the country thing seems a little shady, or it should seem a little shady, right?
Yes, I would agree with that, yes.
And that wasn't a tip-off to this might be illegal?
There's various excuses that the suspects come up with why they have to do that seem believable to the victim.
Did the victim have to borrow the $450K for these guys, or did someone else have, or what was the story there?
No, I don't believe so, no.
And
You got it readily available.
Yes.
the 450K is a summation of all the different charges he was given, like we need to do this to bring in the money, this to clean the money.
That's correct.
Okay, and you don't want to say how much money it was that?
Well, it's approximately $450,000.
How much he was selling the property for?
Oh, I don't remember that offhand. So.
What about the other suspects? Anything on them?
Well, we're still investigating, and we are looking for other suspects.
How many do you think?
We believe there could be up to 4 other suspects in this.
A few more questions.
Can you tell us what this stuff is, what this paper is, this black money? Do you know what it's made of and what the powder is made of? And what were they saying about this stuff?
Yeah, we're still investigating that to find out what it is. The story given by the suspects is that the powder turns the paper black.
One One last question? Okay. This conference is concluded. Thank you for attending.